Oh, the audio is going to be poor because I got my earbud in. Oh well, we'll do what we can with it. I'll try to remember to speak up and enunciate. So this will have to work in lieu of a walking chat today. It's a moving chat. Moving all the expensive cargo. Calling for bad weather the next few days. So it was get it today or maybe not get it at all. Pews and the safe and the last bit of ammo. Just kind of Sunday driving, taking it easy. Camera angle makes it look extra rotund. Had a good time on Shad's chat again last night. And I went and nodded off before the conversation switched over to something I could talk about. Kind of gleaned on it for a minute. And Zombie was talking about his accuracy with the lighter grain 303 bullets and saying that the lighter was more accurate. And that might be the case for him and his specimen of a rifle. That's not always generally true. And speed is what beats armor. I think he understood that, although I'm not entirely sure, because he was kind of having multiple conversations at the same time. Velocity's what does it. Ah, the dreaded sunspot. Kiss off. Thank you for being here. Did you catch Shad's chat last night? Any part of the whole 5 hours? It's 27 degrees in Arkansas right now. 27. looks like Old Man Butt Wrinkles with the meat spin. Yep, that's who that is. Try to get that position just so. Got two guns that were her biological father's that she has no interest in and no way to safely store them, at least in the meantime. So I'm going to take them and hold on to them for now. One of the two is a really cool old Mossberg with an early finger groove, like it's the trigger guard, and then it's got finger grooves for the rest of the wooden stock. It's all one piece of early plastic. And in the front of the forearm on the wood stock has got a pivot in it and it folds down. So like a really early vertical grip. And it's a pretty short and concise rifle. It's bolt action. It's missing the magazine though, so I'm going to have to do some research. I had considered several years ago at having it refinished professionally by a gunsmith, and then surprising her with it. And then at the time decided that it was probably crowded out worse than I wanted to put money into. But then revisiting them this morning, I think it's the old Model 60 that's really rough and pitted. This one might be salvageable. A lot of times people put up their 22s dirty, and that bore looks bad because it's leaded up, but it may clean up and it may shoot okay. So I'm going to see what a magazine, tracking down a magazine probably off of eBay or Newbridge or somewhere. Yeah, that may be $100 endeavor. Sometimes on those discontinued rifles especially, or like the bolt action shotguns, the bolt action Mossberg shotguns, the magazines for those are outrageous. You know, you can find the whole assembly, you know, lock, stock, and barrel with the magazine. You can go through a pawn shop or a gun store and find one used for less than $175, at least here down in the South, where you know you're not mandated to hunt with bolt action shotguns, single shot shotguns, whatever, non-semi-automatic shotguns. You know, the gun itself is usually cheap, and they're usually pretty crowded out. You know, Grandpa, great grandpa, he had his one, maybe two guns, and he used it. But once in a while you'll find a gun where like somebody's inherited the gun, and like they don't know where Grandpa put the magazine when he died. You know, because he planned to get it out next year, and then just, you know, Alzheimer's set in or whatever, and next year's season never came. You know, it was probably in the pocket of his jacket from when he took his duck waders and winter jacket off for, you know, that last deer season. And they've donated the coats and sorted through all the clothes and whatever. The gun and the magazine just don't make it back together. But anyways, you get the whole thing for $170, $150. You know, when they're not awful, but they're not, you know, 70% condition or less as far as finish. But then you go to try and find a magazine, like if you've got a gun that's in good shape, and you're like, oh, we want to keep Grandpa's bolt action shotgun, but I want to find a mag for it. You get to looking, and man, on eBay those things would be $50 to $150, depending on if they're, you know, used or like new, or even like a replacement new in the package. And now with Remington being out of business, you know, real Remington went out of business in 19. All of those legacy guns, your 742s and your 6400s and those pump and semi-auto mag-fed Remington rifles, or even just the recently discontinued 597 22s. Those spare magazines are going to be unobtainium, because everybody like Newmarch or Brownells or Midway that had them, had new old stock, that stuff is sold out now. So now you've got to go to eBay and other secondary sources to find them, and everybody's figured out they can claim a premium for them. And I don't think that New Remington really has any intention. New Rim Arms owns Remington. It's moving everything to Alabama. I don't think they have the intention of bringing any of those guns back. I think they fired up to do Remington 700s and Remington 870s. Is all that they had any interest to do. So far we're keeping the load. It's all heavy, so none of them should fly out. I can't read the comments, so if I have any mods in here that can either filter out the nonsense, or they can answer the questions they know the answers to, it'd be super. To get off the interstate, I'll try and catch up on comments. Oh, so anyways, so I've got that Mossberger hearse that I'm fixing up. I think it tickled her to let the kiddo have it someday. He's just a little bit older. If it's not something that she's interested in having, maybe for herself or for him to inherit someday, what I'll do is get a hold of her brother. She's old enough, but he's finally becoming mature enough. Fix him up. It's too cool to go to waste, and it's not really mine to keep. It's not my family. But I can be a good steward of it for a little while. I already have been, just that I haven't let any more harm come to it. Wiped it off whenever it was bestowed to our household. Wiped it off and stuck it in the back of the safe, and this is just kind of where it's set. Because he was real little at the time. Go dogs go. The guy in a white GMC was stuck up my ass for the last half mile. I intend to go the speed limit, but I'm going to try and get from 50 to 70 in 2 car lengths. Got to baby this old truck. Take care of it. Can't read the screen. Looked like somebody said, have a great day. Likewise, you have a great day. Hope everybody has a great day. I'm going to get over the semi-truck. It's in Arkansas, it's state law to move over for vehicles on the shoulder. Especially law enforcement. I think maybe it's just law enforcement and emergency vehicles, but it's courtesy to go ahead, if able, to move over. headache. You could attribute some of that to the birthday drinks for Shad. You could attribute some of that to, you know, the really pitiful posture, head slumped. Run the heater too much. I don't want to make any of these guns sweat. If you're worried about rust, especially on your stored guns, anytime you change temperature, and especially humidity, by a great deal, give them time to come to temperature before you store them. If you've been out in really cold deer woods and you come back into your toasty house, go ahead and open that gun up. You know, the action, let it sit somewhere and breathe for a while. Come up to temperature before you store it back in your safe. That's where a lot of that flash rust happens that people don't realize, and they don't discover it for 6 months or a year when they handle that gun the next season. And then by then it is set and pitted. That happens because of temperature and humidity. Condensation forms. You bring that ice cold gun in to your warm house, and then the condensation forms on the surface. That's where you get your surface rust. Or if you've had it in a bag, if it's got any moisture on it, you bring it in even the like Plano hard cases with the eggshell foam. That foam will trap moisture too. So you put a damp gun. Or your leather holsters. Guys will carry their like hunting revolvers in leather holsters. The double whammy from leather is, one, it holds moisture, but it collects your salt from your sweat, any of that stuff. And that leather grain will just, especially if it's not a real soft suede leather, if it's a rigid molded leather, saddle leather, you know, with a little bit of motion back and forth from wearing it, or, you know, coming and going with the gun, if you actually practice drawing from your leather holster, the thing will work like a Scotch-Brite pad, which is fine. Guns are first and foremost tools, and they are meant to accumulate a little bit of wear. You know, there's a fine line between taking care of it and babying it. You know, and if it's a tool, using it, that's all right if it shows a little honest wear, get some character marks. If it's a safe queen or it's an heirloom that you're trying to baby, then definitely take into consideration how you store it, how you transport it. Normally, using a firearm as intended doesn't put any great appreciable wear on, you know, sometimes your revolvers, your blued revolvers will get that cylinder line, something like that. But normally, that's about the gist of it. See if we can answer these questions. It says I don't have any viewers anymore. Bad Dream, thank you. It was you that said have a good day. I could see part of the comment. I couldn't read the name where the glare was at the time. Take those glasses off. Jellycat, thanks for the sub. Old man butt wrinkles. Well, I'm here. It's time to unload it all. we'll probably hit you with another one of these after a while. I got at least one more trip to make today. Another to and from. But thanks for watching. Stay lawfully armed.